Get ready for the Fantasy Football Friends podcast, hosted by Carter McCracken and Max Lampkin.
What's up, guys? Today, I'm going to be bringing you the Thursday Night Fantasy wrap-up and our sleepers, locks, and busts for the weekend. My favorite part of the week. I love recording this part. Get to tell you guys who we think is slept on, who we think is primed for a good week, and then who is the guy that we are watching as our lock. So, I'm just going to get basically right into it. Thursday night, it was a decent game. Not like a game I'm going to talk about for the ages or anything, but, there was moments of excitement. I thought for a second there that, the Packers had another good comeback in the midst. Obviously, that reverse call on the field goal was big, especially for those facing David Montgomery. That was who I was playing. That offensive line for the Packers really sold them in the first half. Lions really capitalized on that. So, it just is what it is. Sometimes that happens. That really favored David Montgomery in this matchup. While the game was still somewhat competitive, there was a much more even split between him and Gibbs. A lot of people right now are kind of panicking on Gibbs. I wouldn't go ahead and do anything with him. Just keep him on your bench. You could even probably continue to play him, but his value right now is at an all-time low. I said that last week, so I guess it just keeps getting lower and lower. But his utilization is still elite for rookie running backs. You got to remember, guys, it's a long season. We're only a month in for him, and too much talent to really just go ahead and trade away, especially, maybe was drafted a little bit too early. Maybe we expected a little bit too much out of him, but the talent's still there, and I think that you start to see results later on in the season. David Montgomery, on the other hand, you're excited to have him. He's going to have probably a better year than Jamal Williams did last year, which is very exciting for most people. Probably got a steal on him. Jared Goff had a pretty good game outside of home, which doesn't happen much. Nothing crazy, nothing great, fantasy-wise, but, managed the game well. They were able to run out the clock pretty efficiently with Montgomery and continue to put up points. Riley Patterson had a pretty good game, so that was my kicker, which made it even more tragic that David Montgomery, that they called back that field goal and then gave the ball to David Montgomery and got him a touchdown, his third of the night. So big game from him. From the Packers side, Romeo Doubs was kind of their shining point. Luke Musgrave, who was a guy that I was pretty excited about, got knocked out pretty early in the game with a concussion. We did see their other tight end get work, which is, a bright spot, knowing that Musgrave will be in the play script going forward, especially since they had to divert to shorter throws. I think that's going to benefit him a lot benefit Musgrave a lot with, a worse offensive line. Yeah, but guys, Romeo Doubs, this is someone that preseason I was talking about as crazy value given where Christian Watson was being taken. Watson's more of the downfield, big play type of guy, probably more touchdowns this season, although Doubs has been efficient in that space too. But Doubs is more the possession guy, and I think he's the guy that's really made the wide receiver one connection with Jordan Love. So, guys, Doubs is a guy that I absolutely love this season. You're excited to have Doubs on your team right now. Other than that, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, duds. I guess Dillon did fall into the end zone. So, there's that. But, you're not excited to play him on any week. Obviously, you're going to continue to play Aaron Jones. Detroit has a good rush defense, so, weren't really looking for too much there. Yeah, and Jordan Love. Not the greatest game, but still put up a decent fantasy week. He had about 19 points for me. And, his legs kind of saved the day. As I said, that is something that could happen. He might not be the most efficient passer, but I mean, he looks pretty good. Like, some of the throws he was making is pretty creative. I think that he's a decent thrower. It's just his line right now is not that great. But yeah, as I said, still 2 touchdowns, got done with his legs. So you're not too disappointed if you start Love. I mean, I'm not, at least. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the sleepers, busts, and locks for this week. Pretty excited. I'm going to start off the sleepers with Bryce Young. This is a pretty ballsy sleeper. I mean, he's not like the greatest player so far in his young career, but the Vikings right now give up the 3rd most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. I mean, I'm sure you guys have probably heard all the stuff about how Kirk Cousins is having a historic start to this season, yet he's 0-3. So that means one thing, that the Vikings defense is giving up even more points. In this game, I think the Vikings kind of bounced back. I think this is a pretty dominant win for the Vikings over the Panthers, especially since Bryce Young is back and still learning how to play that role as a, efficient quarterback. Given that, probably going to be a negative game script, meaning, more garbage time points. And his running upside, is always there. So we wait to see when that starts to become a regular thing they go to, integrate more runs into his game. Javonte Williams is going to be another sleeper for me. He's seeing over 60% of the opportunities in that backfield, facing a terrible Bears defense, giving up the 2nd most points per game to running backs in PPR formats. Slow start to the season. I think this is one of the games he takes a step forward. Tyler Boyd is my wide receiver. Titans giving up the 4th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers in both standard and PPR formats. So either of these formats, I'm completely okay with you starting Tyler Boyd. Honestly, probably all these players, but especially Tyler Boyd here. This is a get-right game for Burrow, so I think that basically all of the Cincy wide receivers will have a pretty good day. This Titans rush defense is absolutely outstanding. They've basically turned every single running back that they go up against into a dud on the week. But the wide receivers, the quarterbacks are flourishing. So I think you have to start Tyler Boyd here if you need a flex. He's one of my sleepers. On top of that, Bengals have a pretty inefficient run game. So Hayden Hurst is going to be my tight end. Here I'm just going to target the Vikings again. Bryce Young's a young quarterback. Often young quarterbacks like to go to their tight ends. Hayden Hurst has benefited from a lot of the short game that they've been playing with Bryce Young at quarterback. And yeah, I mean, I think that he could have a good game, has a chance to find the end zone probably once or twice this week. And lastly, for defense, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. They have quietly been one of the best defenses in the NFL this season. I mean, they're playing out of their minds right now. And they were the defense 8 last year. I mean, you don't think of the Chiefs as like a stout defense or anything. But I mean, they're a good squad. We had to start thinking of them as a well-rounded team, as opposed to just Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce outscoring the other guy every single matchup. On top of that, them being a good defense, they're going against Zach Wilson. So be ready for that, boys. Zach Wilson in primetime. That's going to be fun to watch. Bust of this week, I'm going to start off with Deshaun Watson. There's going to be a division game. Browns facing the Ravens. I expect it to be low scoring, kind of close the whole way, and I don't see a lot of passing opportunity where Deshaun Watson is going to flourish. That being said, they are at home, so maybe he does have a little bit of a better game, but still one of my busts for the week. Also, this Ravens defense are only giving 13 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. So, I mean, not a great start of the year for Deshaun Watson. Did have a good game. Not pretty bad matchup. I would stay away from him. My next guy, it kind of hurts to say, but I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. I mean, man, like, I don't know. This still feels like a must-win situation for the Bengals. I mean, with the questions around Burrow, you want to see them go 2-2. I know they expect to at least be 2-2 heading into the season, so I think that this is a must-win game for them. I think they play kind of ferociously like they did last time, like their life was on the line. They shut down Kyren Williams last week. Just 38 rushes or 38 yards on 10 carries, not that great, and only 27 yards through the air. I mean, this is the thing, guys. Derrick Henry this year is older. Tajay Spears is their guy of the future. He has better passing upside, better receiving upside. So in these negative game script games, like I think that this Cincy-Tennessee game will be, I think Cincy will be a little bit more dominant. Derrick Henry will take a step back and wait for his opportunities in those games when he is needed. As crushing as that is to say. Next, I'm going to go with Quentin Johnston. There's a lot of hype around him post Williams injury, and rightfully so. But in all reality, Josh Palmer is the actual wide receiver 2 there in LA now that Williams is out. I don't see this game as being a particular shootout. Chargers will probably keep it close just because we like to, play games that come down to the last possession. But I don't think it's going to be like a high-scoring close game. Probably just one where we mess up a lot more than we should have. Yeah, so for Quentin Johnston, I mean, he kind of fits the mold of Mike Williams, like 50-50 guy. Started to see some of like the short passing game work that like the wide receiver screens, some like the end around, jet sweep type of stuff that Mike Williams typically sees. We're starting to give to Quentin Johnston, which I do like for the offense. But as far as like deep balls go, we haven't seen many of them from Herbert this year. It's been a lot of Keenan Allen, mid-range, or even Keenan Allen deep, but not a lot of Mike Williams deep, not a lot of Johnson deep at all. So I'm kind of still waiting for that to show itself in the offense before I go out and play Johnson with any type of confidence. But certainly a player that you're excited to have on your bench right now. This is kind of like a dream situation for him, down the line. Kyle Pitts is going to be my tight end this week and probably every single week for the rest of the season. I mean, I just don't like his situation. I wouldn't like having any of the Falcons receiving options. I mean, Raiders going to give him at most, 30 attempts. And if he's throwing 30 attempts, probably, 17 of them are catchable, something like that. Like, he's not that great at throwing the ball. That's not exactly what the Falcons want to do in a game. So I'm just going to stay away from Kyle Pitts. Great talent. Even last week when he was getting all his targets, I mean, John Smith still was one target behind him. Like, it didn't seem like they were drawing up Kyle Pitts. It was like, oh, Desmond Ridder has to throw. Let's go tight end. That type of thing. So it didn't really seem like Kyle Pitts was much of a stud, although he did have, a decent Kyle Pitts week. My lock of the week is Puka Nacua. Guys, this is someone that Max was raving about all offseason. I didn't really know who he was. If you guys knew who he was, if you guys watch a lot of college or whatnot, that's really cool. Someone that's definitely exceeded expectations to this point. He's got one more week before wide receiver 1 comes in. Cooper Kupp, someone I got. So I would just look to, play him for one last week. He could probably be a flex moving forward once Cooper Kupp comes back, maybe even, a low-end wide receiver 2. But this is the week where he just kind of, salutes, says, hey, I'm still here down the line. Once Cooper Kupp's gone, I will be the guy. But, tough game last week. This is a better matchup against the Colts, 7th most wide receiver points to wide receivers in PPR leagues, and Stafford's favorite target for the time being. So those are my guys. I'm going to go over Max's guys, who he wanted me to let you guys know he thinks you guys should start. He's saying either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. He expects it to be an offensive game. So high scoring, bad defenses is what he's getting at there. Javonte Williams, so he's going to agree with me there. Javonte Williams, we both got. He sees it also as kind of a get-right game. Josh Palmer is his wide receiver, and Jalen Hyatt as well. Don't start Jalen Hyatt, but it could be a game where he does play well. Gerald Everett as his tight end. So yeah, I do like that pick too. There's no notes beside it, so I'll just kind of add on a little bit. So I think that without Mike Williams, Palmer is the guy, as we've kind of reiterated probably once or twice already. But Gerald Everett will also see a lot of the work in the middle game, getting down the field. I think Parham's the clear end zone guy. So I don't think Gerald Everett is going to be much of a touchdown threat this year, but certainly, the guy that works the field a lot better. Parham's kind of huge, so he's not too mobile down the field. And then Colts defense is his last sleeper. I guess he's questioning whether or not he's a Colts fan, which has picked the Colts. He picked the Colts upset against the Ravens, so that was pretty good. Just got the Colts winning again this week. Basically because Rams O-line is a big concern right now, which it is. And so I guess Stafford, they're going to get to the quarterback. He does have concerns about Stafford this week. So for busts, he's got Lamar Jackson. So basically just going kind of off what I was saying about Deshaun Watson. Although the Browns defense is better than the Ravens, and he believes that rushing might be hard to come by this week. Derrick Henry, he does agree with me there. Says Cincy front is for real. The Commanders wide receivers versus Philly. So that'd be McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. Probably even tight end Logan Thomas if he's playing. He believes that it could be a rerun of last week's blowout loss. Tight end, he's got Jake Ferguson. They're going up against Patriots, who traditionally are pretty good against the tight end. However, Jake Ferguson seems to be the guy that Dak likes to target in the end zone. So we know that Dallas will get there. A guy like Ferguson, you're looking for a touchdown. I think he's one of the better touchdown upsides of that, group of tight ends that is at the lower pack of tight end one. He's along there with Njoku, people like that. I think he has better touchdown upside. And then Washington defense as his bust going against Philly. So his lock of the week is going to be Cincinnati minus 2.5 versus Tennessee. Believes that Cincinnati will be winning by a field goal or more. I tend to agree with that. I mean, that seems like a pretty safe bet. Javonte Williams versus Chicago is his lock of the week. Predicted stat line 15 for 80, 1 touchdown, 5 receptions for 31 yards, 22.1 fantasy points. So there's that, guys. I hope you enjoy. I hope you got something out of this. I appreciate all you guys watching, all the feedback that we get from you. It's really fun to, interact, to get to know who your teams are and, give you some advice, just talk fantasy, just stuff to keep me entertained, stuff to keep you entertained, stuff to, it's football, guys. So thank you for watching and have a great day.